For the record, I did not admit that I danced in the mirror to Katy Perry. I do sing the shit out of some Katy Perry in my room, but I do not dance. So, sorry, I'm going to work off some notes here. Hello, distinguished guests, and Sully Sullivan. As they mentioned, my name is Brooks Reitz, and first, let me say this. You'll probably see that I have an uncommon mastery of Keynote for Mac. So if there are any questions after this, I'm happy to do a little Q&A outside. It's a clicker. But now we'll get on to the Pecha Kucha. So it works. I moved to Charleston a little over 3 years ago from a sleepy little state called Kentucky. And if you're not familiar with Kentucky, it's okay. We're known for three very distinct things. Basketball. Though we didn't invent it, we are skilled practitioners of rabid fandom. Bourbon. Yeah. We did invent this, and we are also skilled practitioners of rabid consumption. And finally, horse racing. I can't say we invented it, but we probably mastered the art of betting on it and thereby making gambling look fancy. Moreover, we can lay claim to a ton of other great stuff from Kentucky, like My Morning Jacket, Johnny Depp, Hunter Thompson, George Clooney, the Old Fashioned, which is one of my favorite cocktails, Will Oldham, who's the coolest weirdo in the world, and also Wendell Berry, who's a very established writer. Also, Tom Cruise spent a major part of his teenage years in Kentucky, and depending on how you feel about Tom Cruise, that could be either the coolest thing or the worst thing you've heard about my fair state. But needless to say, Kentucky has been my home for 24 years prior to my move here, and it inspires me on a daily basis. Memories of my family keep me grounded, and whenever I'm feeling down, I'm reminded of how lucky I am to come from such a beautiful place with so many loving friends and family, and also corn and tobacco. This is my company, or rather, it's the one, thank you. Thanks, 7 people that have had that. This is the one product that my company makes, and by company, I mean me and one other guy. And he's my cousin, and he lives in Kentucky, and that's not a joke. That is the truth. This is a small batch tonic syrup, and we use it to make a gin and tonic or a vodka tonic. So I'm not a salesman, but I'll just say this. Nothing beats a hot Charleston day like a gin and tonic. So there you go. And from what I can tell, I know they mentioned that I work at Fig, but I was brought here tonight to talk about Jack Rudy. So when I started this project over a year ago, I was guided kind of by a quote that I had read once from Andy Spade, who is the husband to the handbag maven Kate Spade and brother to actor David Spade. And that quote is this: "The bigger you are, the smaller you should act." For me, that meant keeping your head low and working hard, not taking yourself too seriously, and reminding yourself that no matter how much success you see, it doesn't change where you came from. And when I think about where I come from, I always think of Kentucky, and I think of this. This is my great-grandmother, Nani, on the left, who is also known to some as Lil Bit. And her husband, my great-grandfather's on the right, and that's Jack Rudy. And they're here at Pat O'Brien's in New Orleans, quaffing hurricanes and smoking cigarettes as any great role model does. And just a funny note on the side, my great-grandfather's real name was actually William, but they called him Jack for jackass because of how big his ears were. So next time you're enjoying our tonic, just remember that. So when I began this company about 1.5 years ago, all I had was a bottle and a recipe that I knew was delicious. And I knew that the bottle had a very distinct sort of old school apothecary vibe, and it felt like something you might find in your granddad's basement. And that feeling was echoed in the sentiment of this whole project, which is all about kind of slowing down, enjoying a drink, imbibing with friends, having people over, and sort of the fine art of the cocktail hour at your house, which you know, we don't do enough anymore. So with that in mind, I began to remember stories that I grew up hearing about Jack Rudy, and how he was a man's man who was handy, passionate, fun, adventurous, so on and so forth. And his zest for life and that kind of throwback quality of a guy making a drink in his home for some friends who are coming over are really what appealed to me, and it became very clear that that would be the name of the company, Jack Rudy Cocktail Co. How you like that click? So for a little more background, I emailed my mom and I said, can you send me some of the things I always grew up hearing about Jack Rudy, because I always heard all these great stories. And her reply, which is here and it's too long to read, is now on the side of our bottle, virtually unchanged from the original email she sent me. So I won't read the whole thing, but my favorite highlight is the part where he makes his own bullets and shoots them into a dirt wall that he made in his basement. I can't make that up. So from that day on, the legend of Jack Rudy, which is entirely true, became the guiding force of our company. And at first, I was printing labels at Kinko's and slapping them on here, and that's definitely starting small. If there ever was a way to start small, it looks like hell. But eventually, we had enough interest and enough sales that we were able to afford an actual graphic designer. And actually, the person who did our final labels here tonight, shout out to G Creative. But when you're broke and you don't want investment, your brand develops very slowly. So for our second label, I found a picture of an old bottle from a cookbook that was a bottle of glycerin. And I took it to a designer and I said, don't change it, just plug in our information. And this is what we got. Then, I see I'm running out of time, so I'll make this quick. We got some press, first locally from some awesome publications, and then a ton of other killer press without a PR firm. I don't even know how the hell it happened, but all of a sudden we felt like shit got real. And we had no LLC, no FDA approval, and we were scared as hell. And we were running the business from my bedroom that you'll see here. But being small and being close to the project kept me engaged, and the feeling that it could all cave in at any moment is what kept me going. I know I'm out of time, I'll just tell you. So these are some companies that still inspire me to this day, small companies from visionaries who had an idea, they thought there was a better way to do things, they recognized it, they went after it, they stayed hungry, and I describe that with some of my friends as quietly killing it. Thank you for listening to me, I love you.